Hey. Ooh. Ready to get your whole life together with growing issue.
So today we're going to be discussing how women date. And I don't know about y'all, but a lot of us were taught to date one man at a time. You know, that man is basically your man, even when he's not your man. And that mentality has had a lot of us fucked up. And dating back in the day is completely different than it is nowadays. So it's a complete mindset shift, honestly, if you want to date successfully and
And
not
what
be
was the back
stressed
in the
out.
day part? Because we barely even seen our parents date. Where's the back in the day?
Exactly. It's just like from what we've been told, I guess. It's like that old school mentality that's been handed down to where like men can play the field, men can do what they want, but you need to be a good girl so that somebody can come along and wife you.
Mm, right.
And that just doesn't work for this day and age anymore. It's a completely different fucking world now. So I mean, I don't know how my parents dated. I know what my dad was doing after they was married, but I don't know, what their dating process like, but I can only just go from what I was told
They
how
never
I
told
should be
you.
doing it. No, I told you my mom never like taught me how to date.
Did she ever tell you about how your parents met?
I know about how they met, and I know like all about their marriage and everything. But even still, my mom was that ride or die until she literally couldn't no more. Until
Mm,
like it was a matter of her and her kids' safety to where
mm.
she had to leave. But she was still that ride or die, and I was like, "Oh, you a good one," because I wouldn't have put up with Bradley that long. But
But then you probably, I don't know if you ever took on the ride or die mentality. I know, um, even with my mom, she told me, my dad actually met my mom when she was 9, 10, 11, one of those.
Uh huh.
And he basically saw her and instantly was like, "Oh, we're getting married." Like she had all her her hair was like her mom was doing her hair, and
Hmm.
like she moved apart her afro and looked at him, and then she like put it back, and he was like looking at her. He was a little older than her. He was like,
Hmm.
"Oh my god!" Like, and so every like I guess whenever he would come around, he would always be in pursuit of her, but she would be like, "I do not like light skinned boys." Like she just
So
did
that's where
not
you get
want
it
him.
from.
That's
Right, probably.
hilarious. That is hilarious.
So he will always be like he will always pursue her and she will always resist. And I guess as they got older or whatever, she finally gave him a chance to see what it was with him. But like in hearing it as I'm older, I can see like my dad was kind of jealous a little bit. I could tell that, he want as soon as he knew that he had got her, he was like, oh, okay, now I got what I wanted and I'm still gonna live my
Yes.
life type of thing anyway. So
Yes.
it's kind of like he kind of built I don't want to say a prison for her based off the type of woman she was. It was kind of like, I don't need too much. I just need to make sure, the household's taken care of and stuff like that. And, I'm
Cause that
good.
was that mentality. As long as you taking care of home, don't let me find out about your extracurriculars.
Who exactly it could in this for that example where he could have a life and she just held up the household and didn't necessarily
Mm-hmm.
have a life outside of that. So in that in itself, like, you know what I'm saying, is dating still for her was different. Like she tried to tell me that she had friends up until she got married, but it's like you're not elaborating because she was like, that's why I didn't even really care about anything your dad had going on because I had my own life. But it was never really betrayed in the household. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
To see that independence that of like, even though she probably uses her quietness to dis the quietness that she has, she can have a whole mentality going on and nobody knows that but her.
Yep.
So what about you, T?
Interesting.
The way my parents met. So my mom was uh gorgeous, of course, but she always dated older men. Always. Like her first boyfriend was 24 and she was 15.
Oh shit.
Right. So she's always kind of been like hot in the ass, if I could, you know. She's always dated older men. My dad, she met my dad. Even though they didn't stay together, I love the way that they met. My mom went to cosmetology school, literally at the same junior college I went to, and
Oh.
it was right. It's like walking distance from USC. Not walking distance, but he went to USC for law
Mhm.
school, and so I guess he was there and wanted to go get his nails done, but he went to the school because it's cheaper
Yeah.
to get services done at the school, and she did his nails, and that's how they met. And
A lot of people
so,
don't know
Oh.
that you could get that stuff done cheaper too.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
cheaper at the school. And stuff like a manicure, people can't really fuck up. But like my friend, she used to get her hair done there and stuff like that. I'm just like,
Oh
oh no,
no.
sis. But
No.
sometimes they do good jobs. Anyway, but that's how they met. But my mom, uh, was the type of person that always had a man, but even growing up, I always saw it. I mean, I didn't see anything wrong with it. So that's like, I know me and Mary have talked about like her experience with her mom being a single mom and my experience with my mom being a single mom being very
But
different.
what was your
Completely
mom's
different.
attitude about? Like, I know that you felt like you saw that she always had a man, but what was her attitude towards them? Were they disposable? Like, where was she
Oh,
clinging?
they
Like,
were they were like disposable.
so
That's
she was
Like
never
on
fully
amazing.
attached.
she was I mean she was never fully attached. Like she was like how women should be. Like, I am the prize. Like, get in line. Or if you can't
Good.
do anything for me, if you can't help me, then what are you here for? Type of thing.
Mm.
So especially because she was a single mom, she had 4 kids. So it's like if you can't, be here to help me, then you know what I mean. So that was like her mentality about it. And so
We all had different role models.
right, right. And so that was her kind of mentality. But like we've talked about before, in offline conversations, growing up in like my high school years, she was always like, she wasn't really around my senior year. I feel like I was her last kid. She was like, you're grown. You know what I mean? Like, it's nothing else I could do, type of thing.
Mm.
Uh, and she was always with her boyfriend. And so
Mm.
I would feel some type of way about that, of course, if I'm her kid. And that kind of, I think, changed my mindset about how I looked at men.
In what
Uh,
way?
as far as like the void of like my mom not being there. So I like
Wait,
became
wait. You said the
sexually
void.
the void of my mom not being there. Like that was
Okay.
the sentence. So I looked at men to like make me feel better because my mom wasn't around, type of thing. And
Yeah.
like
Mm.
that was around the
Because she
time.
was doing the same thing. She was using men
Right.
to
Yep.
make herself
Right.
feel better.
So that's when I started doing it. And so
Mm.
like even with the story about the guy after high school, that was what he was for me. Like he was like a consistent person, always there, even though we weren't in a romantic relationship. He was just consistent. And so that is when the whole a man being consistent in my life is more important. That became a top tier for me, which it should
Which
be.
is why
but
you feel
but
like the friendships in your life with men, like you want friendships with your life and men, because even back then that was a way for you to feel like to fill in the loneliness you felt when your mom wasn't
Right,
around.
right. Because I even had I had a guy that my first love in my senior year. His cousin was my best friend, and so like that was my nigga. Like still to this day, he's my nigga. Even though we don't talk all the time, but if I saw him, it would be like old times because that's what they were. He was there, my first love, and then not only was he there, but his cousin was there, and that was my best friend. And I got really close with their family, so it was like just always looking for other people. We talked about earlier how I look to make connections with people because that's what I need. And that's what it stems from. Like always having to like go
Mm.
outside of my immediate family to make those, deep connections. And I'm grateful for that because, I have lifelong friends and a lot of people.
Right. It ended up
So
benefiting you of learning early how to create a family, and especially once she passed. It was like,
right,
where's your family now? Kind of feeling, and so because she kind of gave you that lesson earlier, it gave you some place to like really lay your head.
right. And be able to make new relationships because, we know now, especially with the meetup, like that's shit that people just don't have. You know what I mean? Like they
Right. It's
don't
not
know.
easy. It's not easy for people.
They don't know, but it's so funny. One of my elementary school friends, she DMs me all the time, and we were talking. She was like, you make new friends so easy." She was like, "I have social anxiety. I could never, and I'd never think about that, like it being like,
Right.
oh, I could just go up to somebody and talk to them, and be
Right. I don't
cool,
think
like."
that way. Best believe. Let you know that
Yeah.
now.
So so like
I
that
don't.
but I you forget that people just don't think the way you do,
Naturally
or
have
they
that.
yeah. So anyway, so that's how I saw dating. And my mom, though, always had like every guy that she ever dated was like crazy about her from what I saw. Like it was never an instance where she was like overcompensating for them. Like they always had to
Mm.
meet her more. You know what I mean? So it's like the rebel that I am, as you guys know. Of course, I want to do the opposite of that.
Mm.
So it's like that was like, oh, well, you shouldn't, she's not doing enough and blah, 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 like judging her. But she had it, as I've gotten older, especially with dating, uh, I could just think about like, you know what, mom, you had it right this whole fucking time, and I was tripping. But it's just only because that's what I saw. And so that's why now I feel like it's easy for me to tap into it because that's what my mom did. You know what I mean?
Bruh,
Like I saw the blueprint for how it's done. I just didn't think it was the blueprint.
bruh, I didn't think until you literally just said that I had to put two and two together. So just to put my lesson out there, like my mom did everything for my dad household wise while he went out to make the money. As soon as I get married, I'm like, I'm gonna make sure everything's taken care of. You go make the money. You know what I'm saying? So I became that caretaker because that's what I saw and that's what I thought it was. So that was pretty much my blueprint. I didn't necessarily see her date, but I saw her showing love or whatever, which is why for me, I didn't really care about the dating part. I just wanted to know, like, okay, do we get along? Blah, blah.
Yeah.
If we have
Yeah.
that, then I'll just take, we can show love. And my way of showing love is to show you that I care about you by doing whatever it is I feel like you think you need.
Mm-hmm.
What about you, Mary? Do you feel like what did you necessarily take from that into your own life?
I kind of take from
Your
pause.
Like
parents?
you're watching your mom date or not
Oh,
date
okay.
or whatever.
Yeah. I was my experience with my mom being a single mom for a good chunk of my childhood. I didn't see her date. Like
Mm-hmm.
the one guy that I knew she had a relationship with is now the man she's married to now.
Mm-hmm.
But like they didn't get married until 5 years ago. But David, my stepdad, he's been around for as long as I can remember. I don't even remember meeting David. That's how
Oh,
long.
damn.
Yeah, that's how long he had been around. And it's kind of like him and my mom were friends before my parents got married, I think. And then so once my parents split up, they rekindled it. But my parents also split up when I was 10, 11. So like David popped up and I don't even remember it. So that's been my experience. I didn't see my mom dating. She would, hang out with
But what did she
David and
teach you about?
nothing.
You don't
Which
feel
is
like
why it's so interesting when me and Mary have talked about this, because I'm like, damn, like that's crazy. Because
It
my mom, I'm not gonna
is.
say my mom, was bringing around every dude she was talking to, but like once they came around, they were around for like year, 2 years. You know what I mean? Like she kind of introduced them to us early, and especially me, because like the way I grew up for like a long time, it was just me and my mom. And so she would like bring people around, and then it was like me, my mom, and my brother, and she would bring people around. And then once I met my stepdad, my other two brothers, like he was the only consistent person around, till now. I'm still cool with my stepdad, even though my mom's gone. So it's so interesting, and I think that adds to your dating life, Mary, because you feel like,
Absolutely.
oh well, this is what you're supposed to do and blah blah blah. And I'm just like, no, like you can
Yeah,
rotate these niggas in and out. They ain't that, you know what I mean? They ain't that
girl.
important.
And
But that
because
comes
of
from watching my mom do it, you know what I mean? And so
yeah,
I think your mom, I get it, you know what I mean? Like I get why she didn't bring around other dudes, but
yeah,
it kind of like made it seem like for you that was how you feel like that's how you should date type of thing.
yes. up until a little while ago, I really felt like that's how I should be dating because I never had a blueprint to go off
Mm.
of. I'm the oldest. I don't have any older sisters or anything like that to where I could like learn the fucking dating game from them.
Right.
So now I'm unlearning a lot of things and I'm also like adapting to the times cuz my dating even when I got
Ooh,
married,
adapting to the
yeah, because
times.
even when I got married, we met when we were training. We were both in the military. We met in our training and then we got married a year later. Like we didn't really like court. It was like we were spending so much time together that it was like, oh yeah, I like you. Now you're my boyfriend. So the only logical step, and of course, us being young military people, of course, the next logical step when you're boyfriend and girlfriend is to get
To
married.
get married.
Mm,
So even with him, I didn't
right. But what you
me and
said was
him didn't
perfect.
date. Yeah.
Adapting to the times, it's like even in dealing with him, you had your parents mentality, and then even
Mhm.
when you got out of that relationship, you didn't know what mentality to have because you missed
Girl.
the update of how people were dating now. Like the
Yeah.
only people who are really present
Right.
Yeah.
are the ones who are in college. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
I
And
was
you didn't have that experience.
like
Yeah.
I was doing this research about Esther Perel, and she has this book, and she was talking to this girl who was in school, and she was like, honestly, like my mom thinks that me being in college is a savage because as a collective we kind of feel like, if we give room for men, if we give men room in our lives, then we can't be as selfish as we want to be. And if we can't be selfish, we can't prioritize ourselves. We can't have the dreams that we want because we feel like relationships equal sacrifice.
Yep.
So therefore, we use men for our benefit. Basically, you go to a party, you see somebody, you hook up with them, and you like the spontaneity of that. You like that there's no attachment. You like that, you know what I'm saying? You can just continue to have whatever it is and for it to be a moment, and you can't ruin something that you don't have expectations for, and
Yep.
we don't have time
Mhm.
for that. They were like, we
Mhm.
don't have time for us to be all sad and heartbroken because we got things to do. We just want the benefits right now, and it's too many people around us for us to settle and for us to give up what we feel like we want to do. So that's why we have the method that we do. And then the therapist was just like, well, it sounds like y'all generation lacks vulnerability. It sounds like y'all still feel like y'all getting hurt into to the easy way is to have a situation with no attachments and stuff. So she was like, that's basically what this generation is doing. That's the thing that's kind of lacking, is that they have this way where they can have this hit and run situation and they miss the hurt.
And they don't know how to process the feelings, and that's why the
Exactly.
feelings are so extreme. Like what you make that heartbreak is so extreme because you feel like there's nothing past that, and it's like, yo, like there is, you know what I mean? Like you'll be fine. This is not the last man on earth or girl on earth.
Mhm.
You will be fine. Like
The world will not end,
the world is not going to end.
but I understand that. I've had that pain a lot or whatever. But
Yeah.
the issue is that because once again, how we were raised, we saw, ooh, a man. Like for you, T, you saw that they were disposable, but like you said, you became a rebel, and TV and society was like, oh,
Well,
Prince,
this is
Prince,
how
there's
it's
only
supposed to
one.
be. Right.
Right.
So it was like I had conflicting stories going on. I'm like, well, this is on TV, and then I'm watching you, my mom. Like, which one should I believe? And I
And
believed the
and
princess fantasy story, and it was all wrong. So,
and not even just that, a lot of girls, it depends what their household looks like, but
right.
if you do come from a two-parent home, a lot of times you don't get to see your mom date, and therefore she doesn't even want to discuss that because she feels like it's disloyal to the husband that she's with. You know
Hmm.
what I'm saying? And as a parent, they feel like they're so much older than you. You don't have to worry about that now. So there's where no education is coming in, where we feel like now we're adults and we're like, oh, we don't have no options, and we got men and we're looking at them like, oh, like y'all got all the options in the world and we're helpless.
Right.
So that's where we're at today.
Yep.
What's the topics that we heard about on this article that got us all hyped?
Okay. So, one of the things that,
Wait, should we introduce him?
yeah. So
Yeah, that's why I'm like, calm down.
there's an author named GL. What's his last
Who
name?
changed my life?
Change Abe's
GL
life.
Lambert.
Lambert. That's what I thought. GL Lambert. Very disrespectful, honest, older cousin. that loves
Mhm.
us and wants us to do better.
Mhm.
But
Yes.
he's disrespectful because we are not as smart about dating as we think we are.
Girl.
Asia told us about this book. I was kind of going through a situation with my ex. We weren't like Rocky, but once we got Rocky, I started reading the book and I was like, oh, this nigga, I deserve
Same.
better than this nigga,
Girl,
and I need to
Same.
drop this
girl.
nigga.
I started looking.
And
Look,
he was dropped
Yep.
because
girl,
of GL. GL gave me all the confidence in the world, you know what I mean?
girl.
To make
Same.
me know I deserve better. So we all follow him, and he posts. He's. I've read two of his books. I think Asia, you've read three.
No, I probably read like four of them just because he had me looking at my whole marriage differently. Freaking
As you
looking at me
should.
like I'm freaking being finesse.
As you should, because even though you're married, like you say, you can still get finesse.
Right.
Your marriage ain't the happily ever after.
No, it's not. It's
Exactly.
not the end point. It's like that. It's a whole new book. People think people think that marriage is like, okay, we're married now, but it's like, no, like it's a
It's
volume
more
two.
work
It's
than
a
a
volume.
relationship.
It's yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's not even a different chapter. It's a whole new book. It's a volume two of your relationship because you have the
It's
dating and then
girl.
relationship, relationship, then a committed relationship. Okay, that's all in one volume. Marriage is a whole new volume, and it's like
Yep.
different problems, different issues, and so we have to get out of that, happily ever after mentality. However,
Definitely.
Exactly.
GL
Exactly.
posted a article on dating for women. He mostly talks about dating in general, but he's like his niche is talking about how women date. Um, so I'm sorry, I thought the article was pulled up and it was not. Okay, the article is titled "Women Need to Date Multiple Men," and we all got hyped about this because
Girl, triggered. I was so triggered. I made like two posts, and I'll never say no words. All you see is
she
pictures and
knows.
videos.
Yeah,
All you
you
see is
really
pictures
don't.
and
in.
videos.
You really don't. You
If
went
you
in. I was like, oh my God,
That's
Asia
what made me
wrote
laugh because she went in. But if it doesn't matter if you're a woman, you need to read this article. Like I don't care if you're married, it doesn't matter. Like you need to read the article because
You need to
women,
see that it's been toxic, that we
right?
have been living in a world where, you know what I'm saying, we're inferior when it's not true.
We have been upholding the toxic monogamy traits by
Yes.
doing
Absolutely.
this. By
Mm.
doing the one by one, let me date one man, date
Yep.
another man, and because we feel like dating multiple men is disloyal to whomever
And
I don't even
slutty.
understand, are
Disloyal
slutty.
to ourselves, our
It's
beliefs.
it's yeah, it's definitely disloyal to ourselves because when you're only dating one dude, you're not even giving yourself options. You're not even
No,
allowing yourself to be wanted and desired by multiple men.
you're not even a free
It's
agent.
it's not even about it being multiple men. You can't compare what's better and
That's
what's
what I'm
worse.
saying. That's what I'm saying. Like when multiple men come to you and they want to get to know you and you're blocking them off because you're focused on this one person, you're restricting the desires of multiple men because it's like then you only get the desire from that one man. When if
Yep.
you're getting it
Who
from
could be
multiple
mediocre
people,
as fuck.
right, when you can get it from multiple people and you can gauge like, okay, this is how he feels about me. Let me see what this nigga thinks. Let me, you know what I mean? And then you can compare the desire and even the interest because like we talked about the last episode, we are like we are not one level people. None of
Yep.
us, regardless of gender, we're just not that. So only focusing on one dude that you met at the grocery store when there's plenty of, you know what I mean? Like there's
And
plenty of
and not
fish
even
in the
just
sea.
that. Like even what Mary pointed out, there's different connections with different men, and you would
Right.
never
Mhm.
know what the connection that you could have with another person could be like because you're only settling for other things that may not even matter. Like whether it's the personality, whether it's the looks or anything, you can't tell like what's best for your soul rather than what's best for your temporary or surface needs.
Right.
Right.
And so, one of the first quotes I want to read from the article, FYI, GL is very disrespectful. That's why I
He
said
talks to
he's like.
you like you're a
That's
basic
why I
bitch
said he's
because
like an older
before you
cousin,
read his
but he loves
books,
you.
your mentality is that of a basic bitch. So just take it all in love.
It's like he's an older gay cousin or something.
Right, right, right.
Why he
Like he
gotta be
like
gay?
girl, because you know. women take information from gay men different than they take it from
Yes,
straight
they
men.
But like
do.
it's so funny because I at first when I was reading his first book, I was reading it in the terms of a black woman, but then like the way he was talking, I was like, "Oh no, this is my older cousin." Like
Yeah.
I had an older cousin that was like that to me and like I was like, "Oh, this is him. Like this is how he would be talking to me today." Okay.
Mm. Handsome guys, average guys, even ugly ones are quick to remind a girl that there are other fish in the sea and that nothing about her can't be replaced. All the stuff he says is special about you, a man will say grows on a tree or will claim his last woman did better. Using this Ike Turner type mind fuck trick, dudes convince women that they can't do better, won't do better, and should be thankful she found a great man like him.
No, he did not say Ike Turner mentality. I
I
totally
mean,
forgot
it's
about that
true.
part. It is though. It is.
It's true. They and it's like
Damn.
but they know because of society, the man is seen as the prize. Like if you
Yes.
aren't married, then
Yes.
something is wrong with you. But in
Yes.
reality, like we are the prize. Whatever you give a woman, she is going to multiply. Period. Like
Yes.
Right. And that's why
stop
it's so
it.
dangerous for us to focus on one person because we
Yep.
multiply.
Yep. And then you're out here settling, and then you mad that the nigga you settle with ain't shit,
Right. You mad
and
that
you
you
knew he
yelling at
wasn't
him
shit.
every day, but you're the one settling just to
It's
say you have a man.
no, but the problem is that this is the whole problem. Women don't know that they're settling until years, months down the line after they
Oh.
already invested, and
Mm.
that's why dating one man is dangerous because when you do focus in on that one person, like I said, you're multiplying. You're using all that energy to make him into who he wants to be rather than what
Right.
y'all want to be. Then once a couple months down the line, then all of a sudden you're looking like, oh shoot, what the heck did I choose? And that's the thing. You romanticize whatever you choose in the beginning,
Hmm.
period. And especially if it's that one boy, whatever, all you need is the presence. Females, they fall in like what we talked about earlier. Females fall in love with themselves. So they're going to use the romanticizing, that energy, and that loving and nurturing part of them gonna fall in love with the mirror of themselves, so they can take whatever man and turn them into a prince.
Right. And I think I so I mean we had this conversation before about my ex, right? Like nothing about him changed.
Mm-mm.
So I don't believe that people don't know that they're settling. I think they do know. They just don't care enough to go back out there because they feel like dating is some big scary
And
whatever. You
I
know what
I
I
was
mean?
gonna I was gonna say that as well. Yeah,
Like
cause you
so
do. Even with
yeah.
my ex, I knew I was settling. I
But why
did.
do
Yeah.
you think you move forward? Because you romanticize. We become so blind in the beginning that we do see certain red flags, but because we want that love so bad, because everything is so magical to us in the beginning, that we literally be like, oh nah, it can't be that, and we continue to move forward because we have this belief.
Or we make excuses for it. And so
And
that
Exactly.
that's all it is. We just make
that's what we're
excuses.
You're
saying.
gonna keep
Like
doing that.
if you have the comparison, then that can help, right? And then you
Yeah.
have the mindset that one I mean this was one of things Mary wanted to work on this year was like not romanticizing that this one person is it. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like this one person is cool, you like him, that's fine, but that doesn't mean they're going to be forever. And we just
Right.
have to get out of that mentality and say like, okay, like if we keep talking, great. If we don't, great. But that has
Right.
to do with self-reflection
Yeah.
and understanding that you are a prize, but you have to know that, and you have
Right.
to understand that you are the prize, and whoever you end up with is going to be lucky as hell, and you have to walk around like that. Like you have to truly believe that and be out here interviewing these people that want to spend time with you, and not just being like, okay, I'll be readily available for you, or okay, um I'm going to drop everything and make all these compromises for you just because he, like GL says, took you out to eat and made you laugh.
Yeah, and I feel like you said, a lot of women don't move like they're the prize, which is why they actually think the guy is the prize, which is
Hmm.
why they don't feel like that they have options anyway. And even if they I think that it would be healthier for people to date multiple men, because I feel like women, when they start seeing that they don't get something from a certain guy, they become so desperate, and it's like squeezing juice out of an acorn. So it's like, why sit in here trying to get the same thing that you could get from someone else?
Right.
Like, you know what I'm saying? And like you said, because desperation comes when you don't feel like you're getting what you want, and you only have a dependency on one thing. You know what I'm saying? It's not producing.
Yep.
So I'm going to read another quote. It says, "Who has time to date all those men? If you don't shut your silly ass up, you have time to play on the internet all day, experiment with 11 different makeup products. I'm sure you could find 2 hours out of the week to slide into a DM, swipe on an app, and finesse 2 dinner dates for the weekend. It's not about time, it's about fear. What will they say?
Girl.
What will they think? Do I have to tell them I talk to other people? The fuck? Why are you scared of what men think? Fuck what they think. If a man wants you, he
Girl.
wants you, and he will go through whatever obstacle to lock you down. Real G's understand the game."
Right. They gonna sit there
Yes.
and do whatever it takes to get your behind, period.
Period.
2020 motto.
And that's the
Period.
thing. Women don't think they valuable enough for people to really do what it
They
takes
don't.
to get them.
They
They
don't. They
That's
like,
the
want to
thing.
be
do you
seen as wifey on the first date. And bitch,
no.
that is not a thing
No.
anymore.
That's a red flag for men. I was listening to this podcast, it's a godly dating podcast. And it was 2 guys on there talking about how, like, women who try to show wifey characteristics in the beginning, like, nobody wants that, because it's like, that's not who you are. You know what I mean? Like, you going in trying to manipulate
Mm.
people into thinking, like, nobody's
Oh
thinking about
shit.
that.
You don't think of it as
Exactly.
manipulation though, but it
But
is.
it
Right.
is.
It
Wait.
is
Wait.
manipulation.
That's why
Whoa.
I was dying laughing earlier when you had said that, Mary. Because when the guy's sitting there looking at
Yeah.
you, and he's like, "Oh, we just had sex," and you over here like, "What's next?"
Oh girl,
Be
I'm
like,
so glad that's not me no more. Like
what?
now,
Like, why could we just
like
have a good time?
Right.
exactly, and like now, if a guy would say that to me, that would be a red flag, and I would
Yeah.
block him. I
Exactly,
would
because
block him.
you would have leveled up, and like, even like what you said, like all that moving fast. If a man has a good head on his shoulders, like you said, he can feel the energy of desperation,
Yeah.
like, and he can feel your intensity, and he also sees that as his responsibility. Who wants to have a responsibility of, you know what I'm saying, a toddler, a little
Yep.
kid? Like, that's little girl mentality,
It
thinking
is.
about a prince, fairy
It
tales,
is.
and all that stuff. People want a grown woman who don't need them in that way.
Yep.
Right. So yeah, so that was one of the things they were saying. Like, you do they were like, ladies, y'all doing too much. Like,
Yeah.
just stop.
Girl.
Like,
We
no,
were. We really
yeah.
were.
And so
Girl.
you just have to understand, like, you have options. The men that you're interested need to know that you have options, and if they want to talk to you, stop talking to you behind that, then fuck them. You know what I mean? Like,
Fuck them
Right.
and they
again,
insecurity. The fuck.
yeah.
It's his insecurities, and it's also yours. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, women look at men who actually are like that as bad men. So just because they're not willing to comply with the rules and regulations and expectations that the woman might have, but it's also that internal work of saying, like, you want too much, and what are you asking from yourself? Like, you want everything outside of yourself, but what are you giving internally? So it's just
Right.
like, that's why women become so frustrated with someone who actually may have something to offer, but you're asking that person who is not here to show you unconditional love, Bill.
Mm-hmm.
Right. You need
So
to give that to yourself. You can't expect that to be given to you from somebody else. Like, you need to give yourself unconditional love. But that's what I was going to say. We forget that there have been wars started over women. Like,
Bro.
so these niggas will go through hell and high water for you if they really want you. And I feel like that's a turn on. So a part of me makes me want to see, like,
Yeah.
what the fuck are you going to
right.
do? You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
how far are you going to go? Because, you know what I mean? Like, they will if they really want you, and if they don't, then, you know what I mean, weed them out. You know what I mean? Like, we have to remember we are the prize,
And
and
you have to
that,
be bold enough to do this.
right,
Like, you have
It
to.
takes some balls. It
Them
does.
Yeah.
balls.
But it's worth it because you're gonna weed out the bums. You're gonna weed out the niggas that never wanted to take you on a date
And
in
you
the
gonna see
first
your
place.
own power.
Yeah.
Right. And that's what makes it so great. Like this one guy, I gave him my number and he wanted to see me and I was like, make plans. Do you know this motherfucker said, what did he say? He was like, I want to see you tonight. There, I made plans. I said, bitch, you don't get off my
Whoa.
phone. Like, you
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like, are you crazy?
Right,
Whoa,
because it's about the
block.
benefits of them, and that's the problem. Like they have the mentality. Why, if they so selfish, why can't you?
Yep.
Like you got to be selfish too. Just like even with desire, you can't sit here and have sex and not be selfish. You have to be able to be selfish and say, "This is what I want, and I'm gonna stick to that. I don't care about what's beneficial to you. You don't even know this man."
Don't
Mm-hmm.
right, but he think he about to have access to my time. No, but he does
Mm-hmm.
that shit because guess what? He's gotten away with it. Like, oh, sir, you
Yep.
have me so
Exactly.
fucked up. Like,
So
and
fucked
then
up.
with the comparison, right? Like, I'm talking to another guy who we plan dates days in
Yes,
advance.
comparisons.
Yes,
Bring
you
the
do.
So it's
comparison.
like, please stop it,
This
sir.
is
Like,
so
trust me.
cute.
Like,
Like, yeah, if you wanted to take me on a date, if you wanted to spend time with me, we don't even have to spend money. That's the thing. You can get creative.
no,
No,
You
no,
can
and
get
but
creative. You just
Mary,
don't fucking want to.
no, but Mary, that's and this is the sad thing. This is the mentality because we're even lowering our expectation and saying it's not about that money. No, at the end of the day, if we were desperate and we were looking at one man, we would care about. Oh, it's not about the money. But if you got multiple men, you don't give a crap. You know what I'm saying?
No,
It's like, oh
that's
well, I
not
know who.
true. That is not true because if it depending on my mood, sometimes I may just want to have a picnic in the park versus going to Ruth's Chris. So no, it's not about the money. It's about the effort. Period. You could put in effort for a romantic picnic under the fucking stars. You know what I'm saying? So I don't believe that at all.
No,
But
no, no. I understand what you're saying, but I'm saying that you, in general, even if a man wanted to wine and dine you, you should have that kind of mentality over saying, "Oh, well, it's not about the money; it's about the effort." Yeah,
oh, I
that's
would
at the
never
level,
tell him that. Oh hell no, because as
but
soon as
that's what
I
I'm
say
saying.
date, dollar
No,
signs
but I
should
know
pop
a
in
lot of
your
women who
head.
do say that. A
Oh
lot of
no,
women do
no,
say
bitch,
that to
that ain't
them,
me.
and I
Hell
have been
no.
guilty of that before because it's like at a certain level of their caliber, you're like, oh, it's not about the money. But if you feel like you a queen, you can call whatever caliber you
Oh,
want.
right,
absolutely.
right,
Absolutely. But I would
right.
just never tell them that. Like, if we've already been on a couple dates, then I'll give you that leeway to be like, okay, well, we could do something just different.
Right.
Because I've never had a picnic in the park before, you know? But that's something that sounds really cute. So I would be down to do it with someone that is willing to put in the effort.
Right.
So, I have another quote. It says, as soon as this type of female meets a man that has 4 out of her 10 must have, she shuts down shop and prays to heavens that this guy sticks around. That's how male manipulators win. They know that you don't shop around, you take what they're selling you at face value. Fuck that. Today we're going to talk about why it's better to shop around before you settle on a man.
Girl, and
Four
that's
out of
exactly
10.
what
Bitch,
Four
that's
we
out of
do.
40%.
10.
That's failing. That's a failing grade in school. Are you fucking kidding me?
Girl. Nah, but then you be like, that's a
Four?
sign. That's a sign. Oh,
Yikes.
oh my God. Look, he does this. It's like
No,
you already
girl.
have your little resume. You just waiting. Here we go. Here we go. This must be the one. Like we really do that, John.
We do.
Period.
I remember
We
I
really
had a
do.
list and this guy, that's when I realized like checking the boxes, having a good career, all that other stuff, that's not enough for me anymore. Because
Right.
he checked all them boxes like educated, no kids, he made 6 figures, blah blah blah, blah all that shit. Still the shit didn't work out. Because he's literally was not the kind of guy that would take accountability for any fucking thing. So it's like your 6 figures don't fucking matter when you're never ever gonna be the fucking problem.
Mm.
Even though when I made this was back when I had a list, he checked 100% of all the boxes on my list.
That means you should have
Oh,
expanded your list.
damn.
Yup.
Your boxes should have been
Yup.
expanded.
That girl, I deleted that damn list so fast after that. The list didn't
Damn,
even
that's
fucking matter no
crazy.
more. It didn't matter.
No, because sometimes, like, especially to me, like, I feel like I have such a limited perspective and a limited scope
I was thinking the word
that
limited too.
I cannot think of everything. You know what
Yeah.
I
Right.
mean? So it's like I kind of just want, I like being like, oh wow, you're something that I enjoy, but I would have
Didn't know
never
I
wrote it
wanted.
down. Right, right.
Right.
Yeah.
You're something I
Yeah.
enjoy, but I never would have thought of it on my own. And so
Yeah.
that is
Right.
kind of like, that is kind of like why
Helping
energy
you
is
to be open.
important, and you should be open, because like
Yeah.
you can check a box and you weren't even crazy about your ex, Mary. So it's like, you know what
Nope.
I mean? Like, you could check, somebody could check all your boxes, but they still don't have no passion, they
Yep.
don't have no excitement, they're not spontaneous, they're not funny,
You
like
don't
they're not
feed my
fun,
soul.
you don't feed my soul, like there isn't
Yeah.
any like calm about that person. Like it's like, it's just things that you just can't think of. So yes, people have lists, and I'm not knocking anybody who does, but it's just like, don't only be open to the things on your list, because there's
Hmm.
somebody out there that could probably feed your soul in a way that you didn't even know was possible.
Yes, ma'am.
Right. And then at
And
the
that's the
levels
whole
that you are,
purpose
you
of
don't even
feeding.
know.
That's the whole purpose of feeding your soul, feeding you something that you never even knew you needed.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's why another thing, like certain people can't have boxes, period. And like we was talking about before, like that'll make you start acting funny when you have the box like checked up and you like, oh, he's the one. Now it's time to
Yeah.
put that hat on.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh shit.
but I was like that, I guess. And not really, I'm lying.
Girl, wasn't we all? You probably
I
was.
wasn't. I wasn't like that because I kept swerving boys and I was like, nah, you're not the one. I literally kept saying that. I was going off of instant connection and vibes. Like, if you wasn't giving me that instant feeling, then I wasn't even going to give you a chance. I'm like, nope, not you.
Well,
Mm-mm.
see, that's also not good because some dudes could have been friends. Some dudes could have,
Right.
you know what I mean? Everybody can play a different role in your life. It don't have to be just, oh, you're a man, but you're not the one. Get out my life. It don't. It don't. It
That's
don't have to
toxic.
be like
That is
that.
toxic.
It
God
is.
damn. Goodbye. Get out of here.
It is.
Right. But I never thought about that. Very good freaking.
Yeah, me either.
Mm.
Until y'all like explained it to me the other day. Like, don't just put people in a
In a
category.
box.
Like, even as a fuck
Yeah.
buddy, don't you don't have to just keep that person in one category
Right. Or no categories.
or no category. Like, let people,
Be where
people,
they're supposed to be.
yeah, and fill different shoes when they need to.
Right, because you probably could have had. I could have had more balance if I would have had male friends. Because I think
Yep.
that's a part of how you can compare it too. Because I feel like we all already in our minds, it's like, okay, we need to date to compare men, but we can compare them with like friends. We can compare them with family members as well.
Yeah.
But we need that equilibrium of having the balance of like men in our lives. And a lot of times we just stick to romance, being a
Hmm.
romantic partner or whatever, and having that fulfill all our needs and stuff, which is where the problem comes from.
Right. We were talking about male energy yesterday when I was at brunch, and like it's just
Ooh,
important to have that, even if
Yeah.
it's just platonic. You know what I mean? It just kind of balances it out, and that's why like
that desperation
needing, right,
kicks
like
in.
right, because you settle and you want that male energy, but you don't realize that maybe the void that you're trying to fill isn't in a romantic way. Like it
There
could
we
it
go.
could be it could be like in a friendship way, in a platonic way. I told Mary like the longest time I went without having sex was like a year. No, I mean that's a lie as of now, but at one point it was a year, where I just wasn't dating anybody, and it was because I was getting my cup filled with male platonic energy and love through my friends, and I didn't
Hmm.
need it. And if I met a
Hmm.
guy and they weren't cool and I wasn't fucking with them, it wasn't like, oh no, I'm not talking to anybody, I'm sad. You know what I mean? Because I was getting male love and attention, uh, from my friends, in a very platonic way, in a very genuine way. And sometimes that's all you need.
Yeah.
And it
Right.
felt my void. Like I didn't care about dating anybody. I didn't care about having sex because I had that. And it wasn't even in a romantic way. It wasn't even like men who were around me who wanted to have sex with me. It was just men who were my friends. You know what
Which
I
is
mean?
more healthier than
Right,
the romantic
right.
partnership, because you
Absolutely.
don't have to do anything.
Right. And if you could just be yourself, there's no judgment. You don't, because I know with me, when I date guys, like in the past, I've always like kind of made myself a little bit more like rigid. And like
Mm,
eventually, like once we got in a relationship and stuff, then they would see how fucking crazy I am. But
mm.
now I'm just like, look, okay, like I'm crazy. I curse. I listen to
Yes.
rap music. I'm ratchet as fuck, but I'm also very smart. So it's like I'm like I was saying earlier, like
Dynamic.
I'm a multifaceted person. Like I'm not one way all the
Right.
time. And
Which is more
so
attractive.
but that's not always how I would portray myself to the guys that I would date. So like
Right.
being able to have that comfortability 100% with these men who I knew no matter what the hell I said, I mean, and I've cussed out one of them before because they were being disrespectful. So it's like having that, like, all right, Thea, I'm sorry, I love you, but we're still friends type of thing. Like I feel like those type of interactions are important for
Right.
both sexes, right? Like, and that was what we were talking about because one of the a guy was there at the table and he was like, yeah, like I have friends who are females and it's not romantic, and you need that. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
when
Because you
men
showing
value,
yourself, you accept yourself,
right?
and and they're showing you accept, they accept you as well. And there's strength and power in that.
Mm-hmm.
It's a way
Men
to exercise.
men value female friendships just like women should value male friendships. Like the guy, he was telling me, he was like, yeah, the person who put me on about dating was a woman, like was an older woman. It was not a guy. And I was like, that's so awesome. You know what I mean? Just to be able to
Mm-hmm.
have that dynamic. And we as society, we question the friendships between men and women.
There it go. There it
Absolutely.
go.
And
There it
so
go.
one of
Sadly.
one of the crazy things we talked about yesterday was about how friends can be a blurred spectrum when it comes between opposite sex. And so this one girl, she was saying that if you are cool with somebody and y'all have had sex, y'all are not friends.
Mm,
Like that line has been crossed. Y'all are no longer friends. Y'all cool with each other. Like y'all can have that relationship, but they were like lines have been crossed, and therefore they're now blurred. There's
Mhm.
yeah.
no defined. Oh, we're just cool on a very friendship. I love you in a platonic way. And I was like, damn, because I know I'm cool with people I've had sex with, and it's like, well, they're my friend, but it's like, no, like y'all are not friends. Y'all are
Yeah.
cordial. Y'all are cool. Like y'all have had a relationship or whatever, but that's not the definition of friends. Like,
There
so it's
it
like
go.
everybody's definition is different, but that is a defined term when it comes to the opposite sex. That if I'm dating somebody and they have friends and they've had sex, it's like, okay, no, like y'all are not friends because that line has been blurred.
But we're
Mhm.
also in a generation where we become so selfish and so possessive that we look at, men with female friends as like, oh, y'all instantly doing something.
Right.
And so
Yeah.
therefore now when you're in a relationship, people have been friends with females for years and now they have to end those friendships. Men are starting to get desperate because they feel like they can't have no women interaction outside of their relationships because the women are getting jealous. So
Mm-hmm.
it's more of all of that coming into play now more than ever as well.
Yeah.
Oh, and I also wanted to say T too, like it's good. Like that's what I was trying to say to you the other day about knowing the boundaries of friendship, you know what I'm saying, and dating as well. Because once that line is crossed, you do have to have different eyes. You may
Mm-hmm.
value somebody and have that love for somebody and like the friendship aspect of it, but it doesn't help you with the boundaries
Right.
because you know what I'm saying, like, and that's where so many other people go wrong as well.
Right. So I'm going to read another quote from the article. Women refuse to serial date and have been brainwashed to think of it as a dirty thing. Some girls will even turn down a phone number just because she has a first date coming up and wants to wait for the outcome of that. That stupid shit is like turning down 10 G's on the spot because you have a lottery scratch off waiting at home that you have a good
Potential.
feelings about. Women know how to multitask better than men. I see them on the 405 freeway applying makeup while driving with their niece. However, when it comes to dating, women flat out refuse to give their attention to more than one man at a time. I'm not sure if it's being emotionally lazy, the stigma of being a hoe, or just flat out refusal to evolve into a 21st century being.
I love that quote about turning down 10 G's because you have a lottery ticket that you have a good feeling about.
You
Child,
ain't scratched it. You don't know if you won. You
haven't
just have
even
the ticket. You just
scratched it.
got the ticket.
Potential.
Haven't even scratched
Potential.
it. When in
That's what that
reality, you could
means.
have fucking both, but we feel like we have to choose just because guy A got our number before guy B. We feel like we have to choose. Do you think any of these niggas is choosing?
Right.
No.
No, they out here casting their net as wide as they fucking can, as they
Right.
should.
Yeah. Women operate off of the future. So a lot of times we are looking far into, what's going to happen off of one feeling that we have. It's all about potential.
Right,
You know what I'm saying? That's basically what he's saying. Like, you see something in your face that you can possibly explore, but you over here relying on potential.
right,
Yeah, we definitely have to stop dating men based off of what they have the
Could
potential
be.
to do.
yeah,
Hmm. And see who they are presently, because that's the problem now. And then on top of what he was saying, it's like people, it's not even, I think, laziness. Like you said, everybody wants to be wifey. People feel like, they'll devalue themselves if they date around. They'll feel like, what I'm saying, they're doing something that society doesn't want them to do. They're being a slut, they're being whatever, and therefore they're relying on that to say, oh well, I can't be out here just being a player. You know what I'm saying? Because they demean men for being a player. They can't be who they think men are.
right. Well, that wraps up part one of How Women Date. Thank you for joining us and listening. You can follow us on all of our social media at Growing Healing and Shit. And we will see you next time for part two. Bye.